Hi friends, I took some pictures in my garden this morning, and one of them, I'll try and post it here, was this big blue clay pot I have in the backyard, and it has these beautiful purple salvia coming out of it. So I thought I'd try and paint that because they were just so beautiful right now. What I'm going to do first is, this is going to be really simple. It's going to be basically wet, and then for the salvia, I'll go in with just a little bit more color, meaning just more pigment to water, so more value. And as I go on, and today I'm using, this is actually an old Artisto pad I found, but my Artisto pads, these are 140 pound cold press, and I'm using my brushes, which I'm not sure if there's any left or not. You can check. I will put the link down below. And then I'm just using, pardon the barking dog in the background. My goodness, that is my neighbor's dog. I am going to be using my MeiLang set. You know, I love this set. It's under $20 in the US most of the time, and it's got all these gorgeous colors. Let me just give it a little spray here, and we'll activate those. I've been using them all morning, but they're a little bit dried out. Okay, so my 8-round brush, my MeiLang paints, my 140 pound cold press paper. Again, this is the Artisto, and I'm gonna be painting this blue pot. I've also got my favorite, if you watch me, my water wells. I love those, one to wash, one to rinse. Make sure you're always doing that. And what I'm going to do first is I'm just going to kind of paint this wet and wet. I'm going to paint the pot. So laying down this pot, and I'm just doing this. This isn't puddling or anything like that. Just wet and wet. And I actually like to use the term damp and damp. So it's just shiny. And then while that is like that, I'm going to go in with my blue paint. So let's just play with that blue paint right now. That's kind of the color I want. I'm going to go in with a very, whoops, too much. A very light wash first. So I've got some of that paint on my brush. I don't want to get too fussy with this painting. So I'm going to keep it pretty basic. Just around the edge there, something like that. And that's probably going to be, for the most part, all I do here, because I really want the star of the show to be, excuse me, to be my salvia. I just went in with a little bit of that blue ultramarine. Maybe tip that and let it kind of blend in. Might just have a little bit more dark blue up near the top. But I don't want to get too fussy here, because I really want the star to be the beautiful salvia. And I will try to get a picture in here for you to look at. Just adding in a tiny bit of shading. Okay, that's all I want to do with that. So that will dry. The next thing I'm going to do is go ahead and start painting in some of that salvia. And what I'm going to do is go for that. It's this beautiful purple. Let me just wet the purple. It's really like a pretty light purple. So I'm just going to add a tiny bit of sky blue. Ooh, yeah, I like that. Maybe a little bit more. And I'll start with a light value, because, ooh, yeah, I like that color. So that was the red violet, a little bit of sky blue, and regular violet. I want it to be a light value to start with, and then we'll just build our layers. There we go. I'll go in here, and what I'm actually, let me think about this a minute. I'm wondering if I should do the water first. I think I will. Let me put that brush down a minute and grab, I actually have another one of my 8 rounds here. So, and I'm just going to get this a little bit wet here. These stalks are really, really long. They always remind me of like lavender gone wild. So I don't know if you can see this, but I'm just using water, and then I'm going to go in and add purple in those. So I've got purple on my brush already. I'm just going to go in and kind of start adding in that purple. They're these really long, beautiful spikes of purple. They're just gorgeous. And we'll get darker and darker. I think what I can do is I'll try and put the picture in maybe the cover photo. Okay, so we've got a pretty good kind of how it's growing there. Let's add in some green. Now the green I'm going to use, let's use our tree green. I've already got some in my palette here. I'm just going to activate that a bit. And again, I'll start with that light value so you can see how watery I've got that. Let's just add in a tiny bit more. There we go. And then before I go onto my paper, because I don't want too much water, I'll just tap it off. And then I'll just go in here. And it's okay if it does that. I'm completely fine with that. And just using the tip of my brush, I'll start adding in all these beautiful stalks. The hummingbirds absolutely love this plant, by the way. Now we're going to build more interest by building in darker colors. What I'm going to do is I'm going to let this sit here a moment, and give me a second because I want to try and find my picture of these. 1 second. See if I can pull my picture up on, can't quite seem to pull that picture up. Okay, that's okay. What I want to do here now, because this plant was pretty full, and I think what I want to do is, let's just start adding in some leaves here and there. So I'm just dabbing, I'm just using the tip of my brush and dabbing in. There we go. And as this dries, I'll go in. It's kind of starting to dry now. I'll go in with just a little bit darker value purple. Whoop. So let's just pick up some more of that purple. So I started with about, I'd say 80% water, 20 pigment. And now I'm going to move into a little bit more pigment. And just tapping in here. And creating a tiny bit of interest. Now, some of these are in the background, and I'll just leave them that kind of faded color. There we go. They almost have a little bit of blue in them too, or mine do. I'll add just a tiny bit of that blue. That might be a little bit too much. Let's lighten that up a bit. But they do have a slight blue tint to them. Adding in some of that blue. You could even mix it in your palette, but I always love mixing my colors straight onto my paper and kind of letting it blend itself. There you go. I think I could almost be done with this. Pick up a little bit more purple. There we go. And maybe a darker value green. I'm just going to see, I've got about 80% pigment now, 20% water. And we'll go in and create some more little leaves here. Because it is kind of a bushy plant near the bottom. There we go. And it's really full, a very full plant, except for the top where these stalks come out. There we go. Now I'm going to give it a really quick shot, so I won't even edit this out because it's really quick. I just wanted that purple to dry just a tiny bit. And then I'll go in with my heavier concentration of purple, maybe even some of that blue. So about 80 pigment, 20 water. Let's get a little bit more of that blue in there. I want it to be just a little thicker. And I'll go in and dot in some of these so it kind of pulls it out in front here. Creates some interest, and it gives you that feeling that some of these are more in the background and some are definitely in front, like that. That's why I love playing with values, because I think it just creates so much beautiful interest. I don't want to get rid of too much of that white space. There we go. And if you want to soften some of those edges, you can, but I think I'm really almost done here. I like that washy effect. You could always go in, I think this is perfectly fine how it is. We could always go in with just another layer of that color. Let's see, where was that? Oh, I think I covered that blue up. Maybe with some Prussian blue, just to darken it a bit. And maybe go in with just a few, something like that, just to create a little bit of shadow. Didn't really want to get too much into that. If you don't like that hard line, you can just go right up against that with a damp brush. And that's, I think, about all I'm going to do. The last thing I might just do is take some pretty, maybe 90% pigment and 20% or 10% water, and just create a couple more leaves in here that are darker value. Kind of like we did with the purple, just to make them pop out a bit. And that's about it. I don't want to get too spotty here. Okay, let's go ahead and stop there. I hope that was fun for you. This was definitely wet and wet. And as I always say, go damp and damp, because you don't want any puddles. And I will talk to you all soon. There may be some of these brushes left. Not sure at the time you will see this, but I will link them down below. And thank you so much for helping me design those, by the way. And I will talk to you all soon. Thanks for being such an integral part of this community and making it so much fun. I look forward every morning to get up and read what you guys are doing and your wonderful emails. And I will talk to you all soon. All right. Thank you.